Right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome on in. Hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to a quick little crypto update session. It is March 11th, and this was just out of the blue. Felt like we had to do a session here to update you guys here in the crypto markets. Do me a favor, if you guys hear me loud and clear, just raise your hand. It's pretty much all you guys can do. Fantastic, sweet deal. So, everybody, this is a complete educational and only for entertainment purposes. Everything that we cover is just that. We're going to be diving into some theories, price action, some potential setups, but I do want to put a quick disclaimer out there. And of course, very, very soon, my sessions are going to be live here on a platform that everybody's going to be able to go through and go over very soon. So, let's get straight to it. I don't think it's it's been a very interesting past couple of weeks. I think last time we saw each other when we did a session like this, we pretty much covered and went over the possibility of where we are in present day. And I know most are in disbelief, seeing 83, 1900, $2, in XRP, or better yet, really looking at not even the majors, because everything still looks okay. It's morally looking at the alts, INJ at $9, Link at 13, and the bigger picture of also where altcoins currently sit. The reality is most have lost tremendous levels of support. Some have failed. Some are now fishing for new lows. It is a pretty interesting time of this cycle. And of course, with the US and new leadership, it's been pretty interesting to watch, right? We've been following INJ since it was like $3, $4, $5. It went all the way to $54, and now it's at 9. So there are very few projects in my eyes that still serve a purpose, still, serve a possibility of seeing some good movement in this cycle. But I think to really start off the session, we need to understand where we are right now, right? What are the current geopolitical issues to really get the bigger picture and understand what is happening, right? Most people are still confused and most don't understand. Maybe you're late to crypto, or maybe you've been studying my material or my session throughout the years and you're asking yourself, what is going on? And, from a geopolitical standpoint, where we are right now, global liquidity is at its highs. However, the sentiment and feeling of investors is pretty fearful and indecisive. And hence, that's what we're seeing here in the markets, right? According to our 4-year cycle, we still potentially have room to go in the next 90, 180, possibly even 300 days, right? I think right now we're seeing a very similar retracement to, the pullback we had when we first made a new all-time high to 66, 65,000 back in 2021, only to make a new high, 60 to 90 days later. I think this cycle is a little bit different. The individual in power here in the US has created what we would see as a tariff war, whether it's Canada, Mexico, Europe, even Asia. Everything right now, everyone is just battling and going at each other in regards to tariffs, import, export. And this is really creating a big, big impact in the market. You really want to understand why the market is selling off. It's the indecision and the fear of course, where these currencies currently sit and how the US dollar it is so important in regards to number one, investments, the sentiment behind investors on how they feel, if there's more liquidity in the market, if there isn't. All of these are very important to learn and understand. And maybe I haven't taught this in some sessions prior, but it's important to know where we are, right? I would still argue that there's still room towards the end of this cycle, but we are near the end of potentially what I would consider a blow off top. I still see the possibility of 120, 130, 140. I still see that happening. I think that from an Elliott wave standpoint, we have not invalidated. I think from a time standpoint, we have not invalidated this structure. The only thing that would really create any sort of real panic and conclusion of this bull market is, of course, a loss of 48,000, which I quite frankly don't believe we'll get there just yet. Now, if we take a look here at BTC, we're just looking here on a spot chart. Price feed here is Bybit. We looked at, of course, BTC has made its absolute low. I don't know if anyone remembers August of 2024. It was definitely an interesting time. We had BTC, printed a high of 74,000 in March of 2024, only for then, of course, in August of 2024 to it completely wash out, take out every single level of support, grab liquidity here at the lows, very similar structure to where we currently are right now. And I'll show here in the daily and the 3 day. And then from there, over the next, of course, couple of months, 168 days, BTC pretty much doubled in price, went from 48,000 to 110. So where do we sit? Sometimes you do have to zoom out. Sometimes you do have to see the bigger picture, and you have to remove all emotion aside. If you bought the tops, hopefully you learn from these lessons. If you were chasing, hopefully now you learn from these lessons. If you got liquidated over the last couple 90 days, 360 days, it is all because you are probably not studying and understanding the emotion behind the chart and where you are in the cycle, both 4 year cycle, 90-day cycle, intraday cycle. All of this matters and is extremely important for you to follow, right? I'm not going to pull up the typical image, but we have our image that we've been studying for a very long time. The emotional market cycle cheat sheet, we could call it. It's seen everywhere now around the world. But most people still fail to really understand. And I'll use this one to really go through this material a little bit. This is a good example of how it goes, and what goes up must come down. And of course, there's that euphoric point in time. There's that greed. There is that fear. And right now we're at an interesting point where even some of your favorite alts, everybody, are looking a little bit like this, where it is not following any price action, where your favorite memes are making new low after new low after new low. And folks, I want to welcome you guys to cryptocurrency. This is why it's so important to correctly pick the right assets, why it's so important to understand the emotional cycles of the market, and for you to really get a clear picture of how to pick and choose and why. I mean, you don't ask yourself, how come some of these cryptocurrencies are down almost 90% already, 80%, 70%? Yet Bitcoin's still holding very strong at 83,000. XRP, that was one of the most underperforming cryptocurrencies over the last 4 years, sitting healthy at $2. And ETH, even though it's been a very big underperformer, still holding pretty good ground here at around 1900, and along also with Solana. So it looks like the market has shifted sentiments. We had a really big explosion initially of DeFi products. From there, we transitioned over to the meme cycle, where memes then, of course, started taking, and they're still pretty popular, but they're not as popular as they were a couple quarters ago. And we're seeing now volume really shift on over to a couple different tokens and cryptos. Most utility, typically the OG, or what they would call the majors, and of course, even companies that are here based in the US, over speculation of course, no tax, for of course US based tokens such as Ripple and many others. So if we dive deep, everybody, we kind of take a look at where we are. We can't be oblivious to the fact that the monthly, the weekly, the 3 month, everything looks absolutely horrendous. We're not oblivious to that, but this does bring a lot of opportunity, everybody, both on the trading and portfolio side. I still see the possibility of BTC sweeping this low. It's still possible. We fished as low as $76,000. I still see the possibility, even though we've had some pretty decent volume and a decent bounce, here for BTC. And a couple of the homework I'd leave for everybody is really start to understand also there's a lot of liquidity events and liquidation charts and heat maps that will kind of share the bigger picture of where people are getting liquidated, both buy and sell. And it kind of builds a picture in regards to just your overall technical analysis and how you could start to really, dissect where you're going to make decisions and where the trend is actually shifted. But here so far, we've seen 76 on some exchanges, a little bit lower. But again, I'm showing you guys USDT here on a Bybit exchange. And, overall, everybody, we have a lot of bullish divergence here piling up. If we look at, for example, the RSI and also on the monthly, we are starting to pick up and here trade below even the low here that we had in August. So we've got a lot of sell pressure. We really haven't traded a premium here on Coinbase either for quite some time. And a lot of bullish divergences starting to pile up. So I would assume, from my understanding, and this is like my theory, ever since Trump came into office, of course, we saw a surge of Solana when he got inducted in November as the president of the US. We saw an insane run for almost all cryptocurrencies, from XRP to the Solanas to the Bitcoins. We reached 110, 109, and ever since, honestly, it's been pretty hilarious to watch. Every time there's a statement on TV or any sort of executive order, we have just seen a constant downfall of lower low and, of course, lower highs. So where does that put us on the chart? Well, my theory is, if correct, the overall agenda, right? You got to play chess here, read between the lines. We continue to see more bullish news in the cryptocurrency space, yet the market continues to sell off. We've seen World Liberty Finance buy hundreds of millions of dollars of Ethereum. We have seen El Salvador continue to buy Bitcoin. We have seen a lot of the balance sheets in crypto, shift over from reserves over to Bitcoin. So crypto is still in a very positive, bullish sentiment according to real world activity. And of course, the Bitcoin reserve, everyone thought once the Bitcoin reserve was approved that you would see 120, 140, 150. People had all sorts of speculations, but really ever since that bill just got signed, that we've really only been declining. My theory is we've been purposely been by, of course, institutions or the bigger players in the market purposely selling off the market. I think the bigger the card shown clear, in my opinion, is the stock market from Trump. Stocks, of course, will take crypto with it. We've seen it in COVID. We've seen it in every single situation. Crypto is still an asset that does not trade independent from any financial market, and all commodities will follow suit. So stocks, and similar to crypto, I do feel, even though the U.S. is now a pro crypto, country, and most of these other nations around the world are going to follow. I feel like the initial inception was to, of course, purposely, whether he wants to publicly admit it or not, really deplete price, create some sort of fear, and let now institutions really swap. You'll always hear the saying for me, it's like retail and institutions. Eventually, there will come a point where they will buy your crypto, where they'll be happy to take your crypto. And hence why even a lot of these institutions are still buying high. So currently, everybody, I'm looking to really facilitate and look for spot orders. Mind you, this is all strictly education. I'm hedging heavily on Ethereum. I like anything under 1900 for Ethereum as a spot play for a portfolio. I also like Solana, anything under 120. XRP, even though I do see the likes of it coming to $4, $5, even $6 this cycle, personally, where how I've positioned myself, I do not like the risk towards reward here buying so high in regards to, of course, it trading at $2, even though it has been the stronger asset class, right there up there with BTC. I mean, we were at 340 not so long ago, but we are holding in comparisons to a lot of the other cryptocurrencies quite well. We currently fish 36%, 44%, while a lot of these other alts are trading 80% from the highs, 70% from the highs. So to understand where we are, this is important for you guys to also understand the CME gap got filled. We do have now a gap close to 85. And divergence is piling up. And this is pretty much what we're starting to build. I wouldn't consider this yet just a huge wedge just as of yet. Based off patterns and structures, I still feel like we could still trade in a pretty much downward structure where we really have failed, quite frankly, to even make any sort of new highs ever since we started losing 100, 95, 90, 85, etc. So it's just been a constant lower high after lower high after lower high and etc. So it's, to me, it's not a change of direction. Even if we start coming up to 88, I think a big break and takeoff of 90K would really start to show a little bit of signs of, okay, there's some strength. And I do feel like it's going to take some time. Mostly, I would say the entire crypto population has been waiting for an altcoin rally, and it's been the complete opposite of that. Everyone's altcoins are drastically underwater, and Bitcoin is holding up its dominance very, very high. We actually look at BTC dominance here trading at 62%, signifying that most people are trading out of their underwater alts, hedging against the bets of course, their cryptos continuing to decrease, while BTC is holding its ground quite well, where people are trading out of course, their assets into stablecoin or, of course, BTC. So the signs of an altcoin rally are really nowhere close, everybody. We have been trending since September 2022. We only had one huge sell-off right here for dominance. That's when XRP was like at 340. And a lot of money has shifted back into BTC. And again, Bitcoin is king. It has proven time and time and time and time again that even though at times it could underperform in comparisons to other alts, it has held its ground. And that's why the race of accumulation from countries to entrepreneurs to your average person is so big in regards to, of course, BTC. So I still see the likes of whether we trade in this structure still. So we've had some really wicked days. I got to tell you, I was having a lot of fun on these big runs right here that BTC was doing. I mean, it was pretty insane. I mean, when they announced, I think it was XRP, BTC, Sol that was going to be part of the reserve, we saw a monster run only for literally 24 hours later for a monster sell off, for then again a recovery of that market, printing an M pattern, and so far making a new low. As of right now, everybody, here on the 1 minute chart, excuse me, 1 hour chart, what I'm seeing here for BTC, I'm interested if we could even take out 84. Gap here is at 85. So I would assume that, let me actually take a look here at the 4 hour chart, that price is going to be a magnet up to 84, 85. Fill that imbalance that we left here on the chart, maybe even push as high as, of course, 86 and really squeeze a lot of the sellers. We have to understand everyone has been max short. Flip the chart and kind of think with me here, right? Everybody typically in a bull market just constantly longs and longs and longs and longs and longs and longs over and over and over again, and it works and it works and it works, and eventually there's a huge flush that takes everybody out, and specifically folks in margins. Same thing here with shorts. Sellers have been generously paid constantly, and there are a lot of liquidation events that could trigger at all of these highs, if you actually look at the heat map, and which turn into buy orders. So keep in mind, if a seller gets liquidated, it has to buy out the position, creating a bigger move and an overextension of the break of the actual structure. So this could be really interesting to see how it plays out. Even though I would like to see a retracement here very, very soon, I'm not going to chase at these levels. I already filled generously here at ETH at the levels I mentioned in Sol. For margin, we were able to, at least me personally, tag a couple positions here in the 190s, which I'll cover here in a little bit here for XRP. But for now, I'd like to see really how we pretty much dance up here, play around up here. I'd like to see still a pullback, or a really monstrous squeeze would not surprise me. We're trading in a market right now where we are a tweet away, an announcement away. So as I've mentioned in that channel, I would highly encourage everybody to watch their margins, specifically if you've never participated in high volatile quarters or moments or news based, especially tomorrow we even have CPI. So I'm interested even to see how that's going to come in, whether higher or lower. But I'd like a retrace. If I was to just remove and exclude all the noise, what I'm seeing here is probably a grab of liquidity here. Sellers are able to exit. These buyers from the lows are able to sell off, and price trades right back down lower. I would like to then look for possible swings at this area here for BTC. I'm still aiming for that region of 72.70. Even though it is not a large area of price action, I am a fan of this area here for a grab of liquidity. If not, we can fish much lower. But the more I see retail screaming 40, 30, 20,000, I just feel like little by little, we're going to turn the corner and then eventually people will chase. I don't feel like we're there just yet. I still feel like the events right now are pretty fearful here for BTC, and we'll get there. But at least for now, everybody, I'd like to see how BTC trades at 84, 85. Possibly look for shorts up here on a more expansive move and aim towards that specific low that was just made. So we'll see. If we clear this structure, then we could run to 89. But right now, considering the sell pressure, I'm still leaning more on a bearish bias. Um, I honestly feel like this is going to take 2 weeks to about a month to at least recover a quarter of this huge sell-off that just occurred. All right. So that's pretty much everything for BTC. Everybody got a lot of pairs to go through, before, of course, we wrap up. But I really wanted to give you guys, of course, the sentiment. I'm not opening the chat function, everybody, because people could get real funny, especially on public sessions. But I hope you guys, got a good value here on, of course, BTC. Alrighty, so let's get into ETH. I do have, and I have been, you've probably been seeing on the channel, I've been mentioning quite some time now that I am looking to spot buy ETH and, of course, Sol. I've been actively doing so, even sharing some of my entries here and there. I do like where this market currently sits here for ETH. ETH is, even though it is the biggest underperforming asset, you have to understand what ETH represents to the market. It's a big pillar for ERC20 tokens to NFTs to just the overall blockchain of a lot of what billions of dollars, pretty much go through in regards to ETH. So even though it has underperformed, I didn't really allocate much of my portfolio this cycle to it, but I do like where we're trading currently. So we've been in this really wicked range here for a while, and we've failed to clear 4,800. So doing so, I do feel that now after this impulse and this retrace, we are starting another impulse or another leg up per se here for ETH. So if we, for example, do a measured move, let's say from these 1900 lows, I feel like this could be the run now. And honestly, personally, I'm just aiming for 5,000, 6,000. But it wouldn't surprise me if this cycle does continue to see ETH finally, especially with now institutions behind it, really do and take, ETH above 4, 4.5, and 5. So at least portfolio, everybody, I'm really adding here and looking for, ETH to hold this 883, which were right at around 1,800 just literally yesterday. From different pulls of Fibonacci anchors, I mean, we're at the 786. You mix it with the last low, we're at the 70. So there's some good Fibonacci sequences and confluence. I mean, we swept 2000, which is good, and it looks like we're picking up liquidity here sub 1,800. So again, I'm looking to add here anything under 1,900 here for ETH. It is the weaker pair. It did have the weaker bounce. I think the best performers today were both Sol and XRP. ETH is, it's typically your slower asset. So, just keep that in mind, everybody. Don't expect ETH, and you have to be conscious of that when, of course, building your portfolio. It is more of a conservative asset until it isn't. Same thing with XRP, right? Most of you that have been following my channel or my sessions, we would hang around with XRP for a while, but even though it wouldn't move, we knew eventually what it could get to. And here we are, $2 and hopefully $5 very soon. in regards to looking for trades right now, everybody, I'm really not seeing anything. I would like the market to take out some highs. I mean, we made a high this morning here at around 1960. We're having trouble cracking that. Um, I still like shorts all around, quite frankly. I would like something if we were to scalp on session. I mean, this is something that we could possibly be looking at here for ETH, something quite tight here with risk. If not, I still see the possibility of course, ETH running back up to 2000. I don't know if we'll get that just yet, but most of the pairs right now, probably ETH looks the cleanest, honestly, right now. Most of the pairs right now are printing, your typical rising wedge structure. This could still easily, continue. We've had our ABC retrace, then we have our impulse. Do we get the second leg, and then we get the retracement, and then ABCD back down? I mean, this is something that we could see. So there's nothing active as of yet. I would like to see how price sweeps these highs. And then we could either look for some scalps here or possible scalps up here for Ethereum to the downside. It does look like sellers are starting to get a little bit exhausted. You could see both on volume and the momentum based indicators. I mean, you could also see here on the RSI, huge bullish divergence, low, lower low, low, higher low. And, we start to pull up volume. You could see for yourself, a lot of these 4 hour candles are starting to eat up the prior volume that, of course, created these lows in the first place. So I do like where we're sitting. So, time will tell, everybody. But again, that's why it's so important to really understand dollar cost averaging. And of course, just take advantage of where these prices are and pick the correct assets. Just because a certain meme coin is underwater 90% doesn't mean it can't go to 95%. That's something that I wish someone would have taught me a long time ago. You think just because an asset is so low or has retraced so much that it's the better buy. The reality is, if it's so low, is because it's going to have more sell pressure, and any single retracer pump is going to get completely just swallowed up by the thousands, if not millions, of people that are waiting for them to get out either of an entry or, of course, their position. So keep that in mind when selecting these assets, especially this late in the cycle. Eventually, all cryptos do pull back similar, but of course, they're all stronger pairs and stronger selections. They do net a smaller return. But at this point in time in the cycle, you got to be really selective. That covers XRP, everybody. Sol, again, biggest winner here in regards to the bounce. Probably the most interesting 60 days here for Sol. I mean, I got to tell you, just January 21st, 20th. I mean, we were at $295. You skip 2 months later, and it tagged $111. So I still like Sol. I think the war or the battle or the competition between Sol and ETH, I still feel like the nodes for Sol still need to they're having a lot of trouble still, but it still does beat, in my opinion, Ethereum in regards to blockchain and their technology. And I still feel like, even, for example, the launch of Trump on their platform just comes to show that a lot of these bigger companies and entities still prefer building on Solana than even Ethereum itself because of gas and fees. So with Sol, everybody, I really like to look to build both spot positions here, sub 120, as I mentioned, and also be looking at building possibly a swing on margin. I would cover this on a lot of sessions that I've done in different platforms throughout the years. And, for some of you guys that probably have not followed through, you could do a couple things, right? You can buy spot. Spot represents, of course, buying the asset one for one cash amount. So let's say you have $1,000, you buy $1,000 worth of Sol. Let's say it's $100, you get 10 Solana, right? For $1,000. For 1,000, you could also get really creative. And if here you do have to get a more premium entry, but let's say the market rebounds and tags, let's say 109, 110, you can also build a margin position, treat it as a spot position, and, for example, utilize 10x, 5x, 20x, 3x on a lot of these, margin protocols. Like, for example, if we look at, let's say, Let's go to derivatives right here, like the Binances and the OKXs and the Bybits and the Krakens. You could use leverage to your favor if you are conscious of the risk and understand what you are doing. So, these are a couple of ways to strike and take advantage of capital and, of course, where levels are right now in the cycle. It's a lot of opportunity, but in regards to, of course, Sol, very similar structure, rising wedge, similar to both BTC and ETH, a little bit more overextended than the others. I still see a measured move right back down here, for example, to Sol. So I would say that maybe price still manages to trail and stair step higher as we're squeezing and everybody's starting to short. But again, everybody, I really do see a sell-off continuing yesterday's really big, strong push. You have to understand in cycles or in sell-offs, you're going to have different types of, retracements. You'll have your V-shaped recovery, which literally the complete the complete sell-off is eaten up and retrace identical. You'll have, your dead cat bounce, which is just a simple 5 to 10% retrace. And sometimes you just have a falling knife, which is, we haven't had that just yet. I mean, similar to what we did in August. So this could just be a relief rally or what they call a dead cat bounce for now. I'm still hopeful that we retrace lower to build more of a spot position. This is, and I repeat, a seller's market. So sellers are still in control until proven otherwise, until invalidated some of these lower highs. And of course, the trend is totally changed. This is where we are. But for those of you that are looking to add portfolios, these are great times. Just be very selective. So ETH is looking like it looks like we're really going to get these sells probably a little bit sooner than we think. Daily closes in about 2 hours and 22 minutes, and we've had a pretty green day all around. I would lean on probably shorting, whether it's ETH or Sol. I would like that structure. Even XRP looks pretty good to short here. A lot of imbalance down here. I don't know if we'll tag this just yet, but I feel like we'll still come back to around $2, 205. Very, very likely. So let me reset over here. We covered Bitcoin, we covered Ethereum, we covered XRP, sorry, Sol, and let's go down to XRP. So one thing that is still missing for Ripple, even though this chart does not look too pretty, the SEC, everybody, and its case, it's yet to be settled, it's yet to be dismissed. This event, and I'm going to take some time about this event right here, this event itself, okay? And I'm just going based off statistics and what we've seen throughout history of literally XRP. XRP has started in multiple occasions monster rallies in the past. I'm still under the assumption that once this case, hopefully in a bullish result occurs, right? Whether it's settled, whether it's dismissed, whether, etc. In other words, positive. I feel like it could be a huge catalyst as to why this market in general, even crypto, not just XRP, takes off. I think XRP is not done this cycle. I think the strength shows it has been one of the few pairs that is relentless in these sell-offs, and the amount that has been bought every single time we reach these lows, it just comes to show where this asset currently sits. So we've been really holding the sub $2 mark. I'm still aiming for that $4-5 region. I still think it's an asset that could easily tag these figures, especially with how we're looking here on this chart. This is probably the first time that this chart is really replicating some of these lows like we've had from 10 cents all the way, for example, to 198. So it is very similar. I mean, just the measured move in itself, here according to chart, takes us to that $9-8 mark. So still very hopeful in the long term. My bias has not changed, or my position has not changed with XRP. In comparisons to a lot of the charts, XRP is printing an inverted head and shoulders. Really strong structure, in my opinion, here. But again, I think sell pressure is still a little bit bigger than what the actual structure represents. And again, I'm still looking for pullbacks here right after the close. I expect the candles to close green and give a good healthy push, give a good inception after, maybe sweep, break a structure, and I'm expecting pullbacks all around. So if I do find any sells, we're already starting to see it here with ETH, as I mentioned, and BTC and Sol. I really do expect pullbacks. Now, it doesn't mean that this is going to be the overall flush. Maybe we do get this retrace and boom, we take out a new high, or we finally it becomes that easy. It has been that easy for sellers. We'll see. Time will tell. In regards to the rest of the altcoin market, everybody, I'm staying, and this is what you got to see. Read between the lines. You want to pick winners, not gamble, not speculate. You want to look which pairs, like the SUIs, what pairs have had institutional interest, talks of ETFs, right? You want to, I think HBAR today even got, apparently, like they're filing for an ETF. Like you want to position yourself in assets that, quite frankly, institutions, I think that's the name of the game right now. The meta has shifted, and you really want to be able to get in front of assets. I really like where Ondo sits. So again, today we covered Sol under 1900, sorry, ETH under 1900, Sol under 120. I like Ondo a lot here, sub 80s. That's a very clean structure. I really don't see us getting in the 30s. This is such an institutional backed project that I think has not seen the full cycle yet. So keep an eye on Ondo here. This is a really nice project here, sub 80s. It was just at around 215. Jasmine, I think, is also another contender, but I'll pass. I really want, very selective here. You want to be very picky. You got to pretend you're the shark at Shark Tank, selecting these assets of what you're adding to your portfolio. Not because they're drastically down, is it that you added, but projects that you really do believe institutions are going to be behind it, because that's the name of the game nowadays. Because if you look at everything else, everyone, you look at your Illuvium, I mean, new low. You look at sushi back at 2023 lows. You look at HBAR though, look at HBAR, right? You want to pick the right assets. You look at memes like Peanut, it's in the gutter, everybody. So be selective, be intelligent. Do not FOMO or feel because, a coin like WIF is, oh my God, it's got to go up. It's down 92% from the all-time high. Yeah, and this thing could go to zero. It could literally go to 99.9% retracement and never see the light of day. So if you want to put your hard-earned money in anything at your own risk and your own disclosure, you want to, of course, look for select assets that are showing strength, they're showing institutional interest, and of course, have possibly still another leg right back up higher in the cycle. For now, everybody, at least on session, I was trying to find at least some positions here. I don't think we're going to get it. Typically, I don't do sessions at 5, but I figured it was a good time for both Europe, US, and different parts of the world to jump on. So I'm not seeing shorts yet. I'd like personally for the session, for the daily candle to close, but I am looking for a rising wedge-like structure to break, tag, and see a little bit of a move to the downside. So any positions I'll see, I'll share. As I mentioned, very soon I'll be on a platform and I will be doing this 3 to 4 times a week, back on regular schedule. For now, I have just been sending here and there, at least on that channel, a couple ideas and positions, and really just giving you guys like my overall outlook. But yeah, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and feel free to give me some feedback and shoot me some messages. I'll do my best to answer. DMs are flooded, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. This is recorded, so I'll probably throw it up on a YouTube channel or whatnot for you guys to review. But other than that, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day here on the 11th of March, and I will see you guys all in the following session, whenever that is. I'll let you guys know and update you all on that channel. Take care, everybody. Been a pleasure, and hope you guys take advantage of course, where crypto sits. Bye bye now.